Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you've probably written a Java program that says hello world. That's step one. But what if you wanted it to say hello Sarah or hello David? What if you wanted your program to actually have a conversation? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. I mean, really think about that for a second. Most of the programs you write at the beginning, they're like a monologue. They just talk at you, do their thing, and then they're done. They're fantastic at giving orders, but they have no idea how to listen. It's time we change that.
So before we can teach our programs to listen, we got to understand the two sides of any conversation, right? In the programming world, we call this input and output. It's pretty simple. Input is how we get information into the program, from a person typing on a keyboard, and output is how the program talks back by showing stuff on the screen.
Right now, your programs are probably living on this one-way street. They run, they print something, and that's the end of the story. The user is just sitting there, watching. They can't change anything. But what if they could? What if the user could give the program a name or a number or make a choice? That's when things start to get really, really interesting. So how do we do it? How do we turn that one-way street into a two-way conversation? Well, we use a simple but super powerful tool that's built right into Java. It's called the Scanner class. And trust me, this is the key that's going to unlock all of your interactive conversational programs.
Just think of the java.util scanner as your program's ear. It's a special class that's designed to listen for input from all sorts of places, like files on your computer. But for today, and for most of the time you'll use it, we're focused on its main job, listening to whatever the user types on the keyboard. In Java speak, that's called system.in.
Getting your scanner up and running is always the same simple three-step recipe. It never changes. First, you have to import it at the very top of your file. That's just you telling Java, hey, I want to use this tool. Second, you create a new scanner object and tell it to listen to the keyboard. And third, you actually use it by calling one of its methods to grab the user's input. That's it.
Okay, our scanner is set up, it's ready, it's listening, but now we have to tell it what to listen for. Are we expecting a word, a number, maybe a whole sentence? Let's learn the commands so we can have our first real back and forth.
Now, the scanner is really specific about what it does. If you want a whole number, an integer, you've got to use nextInt. If you need a decimal number, you use nextDouble. But pay really close attention to those top two. Next will only grab text up to the first space, so basically a single word. If you want the user's full name or a whole sentence, you have to use nextLine. Getting this difference down is absolutely crucial.
All this theory is great, but let's make it real. We're going to write a tiny program that does two simple things. It's going to use system.outprint to ask a question, and then it's going to use our new scanner to listen for the answer. This simple back and forth, this is the core of pretty much every interactive app you'll ever build. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. As you start using the scanner, you are almost guaranteed, I'm talking 100%, to hit a very specific and very confusing bug. But don't worry, this isn't really a mistake. It's more like a rite of passage. Every single Java developer hits this wall. And once you understand what's happening, you'll never, ever forget it. So here's the scene. Your program asks for the user's age. You use nextInt to grab it. Perfect. Then it asks for their name, so you use nextLine. But when you run the program, it asks for the name and then bam, it immediately moves on. It completely skips waiting for you to type anything. It's so confusing. What in the world is going on?
The best way to understand this is to think of the user's input like items on a tiny conveyor belt. So when you type the number 25 and then hit the Enter key, you're actually putting two things on that belt. First, the number 25, and second, that invisible Enter key press. Now, nextInt is a really picky eater. It comes along, grabs only the number it wants, and it leaves that pesky Enter key press just sitting there on the belt. And this is literally what the program sees in its memory, in its input buffer. It's not just the number 25. It sees the 25, followed immediately by this special character, /n, which just means new line. Both of these things are sitting there, waiting to be read. So, nextInt does its job perfectly. It swoops in, grabs the 25, but that little /n is still there. Now, when your code calls nextLine, its entire job is to read everything up until it finds a new line. Well, it immediately sees that leftover /n and thinks, oh, great, found a new line. My work here is done. It consumes that empty line and moves right along, which is why it looks like your program just skipped right over your input. So, what's the fix? You're going to love this. It's surprisingly simple. Right after you call int nextIn, you just add an extra blank in.nextLine.
Its only job in life is to go to that conveyor belt, pick up that leftover new line character, and toss it in the trash. That's it. Now the belt is clean, and the next in.nextLine call will actually pause and wait for you to type in the name, just like you want it. You did it. You've officially mastered the hardest, most confusing part of using the scanner. Now that your program can reliably listen for both numbers and text, let's just take a minute to polish how it talks back. Let's make it look and feel a little more professional. Okay, you've probably used print ln 1,000 times. That ln just stands for line, meaning it moves to the next line after printing. But if you use print without the ln, the cursor stays right where it is. This is absolutely perfect for prompts like enter your name, because then the user can type their answer right next to the question. It just looks cleaner. Now, if you want even more control, there's printf, which stands for print formatted. This thing is awesome. It lets you create a kind of text template, and then you can just drop your variables into these special placeholders. %s is for a string, %d is for an integer, and %n is a universal way to say add a new line. It keeps your code super clean and makes your output look great. One last piece of professional advice. In programming, whenever you open up some kind of resource, like a file, or in our case, a connection to the keyboard, it's always a good habit to close it when you're done. It's just a key part of writing clean, responsible, professional code. So at the very, very end of your program, once you know you're not going to ask for any more input, just call in.close. This just tells Java, hey, I'm done with the keyboard now, and it releases that resource. Now, in a tiny little program, will it break if you forget? Probably not. But it's a fantastic habit to build from day one. So let's just step back for a second and look at everything we've accomplished. You haven't just learned a new command or two. You've unlocked an entirely new category of programs that you can now build. Let's do a quick recap of your new toolkit. Here's the cheat sheet. You know how to create a scanner to listen to the keyboard. You know the most important methods for reading those text and numbers. Crucially, you know how to avoid that infamous next line trap. You know how to format your output so it looks professional, and you know to be a good programmer and close your scanner when you're all done. And this is why it all matters. With just these skills, you can now build some really cool interactive tools. Think about it, a simple calculator that asks for 2 numbers and adds them. A little survey that asks questions and records the answers. You could even build the start of a text-based adventure game. Your programs are no longer just a monologue. They can finally have a real dialogue. You've officially turned a one-way street into a two-way conversation. You've given your code the ability to listen. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?